Hello, and welcome to RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged, where today I will be rejudging All Stars 8 in what I believe to be a generally fairer way. Starting off with the Episode 1 Girl Groups Challenge, I picked the top three of Alexis, Michelle, LaLa Ree, and Kahanna Montrese. For the bottom three, I chose Jaymes Mansfield, Darienne Lake, and Monica Beverly Hills. Of the top three, I believe Kahanna Montrese had the strongest overall performance, and thus I gave her the win. And Darienne and Monica had the worst two performances, and they were in the bottom. Kahanna and Aja lip synced to Freakum Dress by Beyonce. Aja wins, and since the bottom two are the same, Monica Beverly Hills is eliminated. In terms of Monica, I really don't have much to say. I was really excited to see her back, and she has been consistently okay in the Fame games. I just wish she could have grown a bit more in the 10 or so years she's been off the show. Next up, we have the Episode 2 Acting Challenge, where I've chosen Jimbo, Heidi in Closet, and Mrs. Kasha Davis to be the top three, and LaLa Ree, Kahanna Montrese, and Naysha Lopez to be the bottom three. I gave Jimbo the win based off how strong her runway was compared to the rest of the competition, and I chose to save LaLa because she had the strongest performance of the bottom three. Pangina and Jimbo lip sync to She Bop by Cyndi Lauper. Pangina still wins, and since the bottoms have been the same all competition, Naysha Lopez is eliminated. I personally was really excited to see Naysha come back on All Stars and show off her growth, and while I think she had a pretty strong first episode, all things considered, the rest of her performance in the Fame games and the competition itself were a bit of a letdown. Next up, we have the Episode 3 Ball. For the top three, I went with Jessica Wilde, Heidi in Closet, and Kahanna Montrese, while the bottom three are Kandy Muse, Darienne Lake, and Mrs. Kasha Davis. I decided to give Jessica the win based off her first and third looks, while I decided to save Kandy because she had the strongest overall runway package out of the bottom three. Jessica and Raja O'Hara lip sync to Coconuts by Kim Petras. Jessica wins and sends home Mrs. Kasha Davis. I was really excited to see what Kasha had to bring to this season, and despite the fact that she only got to participate in 3 regular episodes, I was still really happy with what we got to see. She gave 2 really strong performances in the first 2 challenges, and has honestly been one of my favorites in the Fame games. Next up, we have the Episode 4 TV Pilots Acting Challenge. I decided that the winning team was the team of Jimbo, Jessica Wilde, and Kandy Muse, while the losing team is the team of Alexis Michelle, Darienne Lake, and Jaymes Mansfield. I chose to judge this episode in teams based off the similar challenges from All Stars 5 and All Stars 6 both being judged this way, and I ultimately gave Jimbo the win because she was kind of the star of their TV pilot, if that makes sense. Jimbo and Chanel lip sync to Bad Reputation by Joan Jett. It is a lot closer than I thought it would be, but Chanel wins and sends home Darienne Lake. As someone who wasn't the biggest Darienne fan on season 6, I was completely blown away by how much I enjoyed her both in the Fame games and the actual competition. This video is being recorded before the Fame games winner has been announced, but Darienne is my personal pick to win. Next up, we have Episode 5, which is the Snatch Game of Love. I think Jimbo, Alexis Michelle, and Jaymes Mansfield were the clear top 3 here, while the clear bottom 3 was Heidi in Closet, Jessica Wilde, and Kahanna Montrese. Heidi quits, putting Jessica and Kahanna in the bottom. Jimbo and Jasmine Kennedy lip sync to Hallucinate by Dua Lipa. Jasmine wins, and in true season 14 fashion, it is a non-elimination. I don't have too much to say about Heidi. I'm really glad she was able to come back, but I feel bad about how often she was completely cast to the side by production. Next up, we have episode 6, which is Joan, the Unauthorized Rusical. This was probably the hardest episode to judge based off how well a lot of people did, but I ultimately decided that the top 3 were Kandy Muse, Alexis Michelle, and LaLa Ri. Jessica Wilde is a close 4th, but ends up safe. While the bottom 3 are Kahanna Montrese, Jaymes Mansfield, and Jimbo. Kahanna is saved by her runway and the fact that she had the strongest performance of the 3, leaving Jaymes Mansfield and Jimbo in the bottom, which is the first major deviation from what actually happened in the season. While it is controversial, I think I decided to keep Kandy Muse as the winner of the challenge. I think her part was pretty designed to win, and it's the rest of the queens' fault for not even attempting to fight her on it outside of Jessica Wilde. Kandy Muse and Angeria lip sync to I'm Not Perfect by Grace Jones. Kandy wins and sends home Jaymes Mansfield. Once again, I really don't have much to say about the eliminated queen. I'm glad Jaymes was able to come back and showcase more of her talent, though. Next up, we have episode 7, which is the Improv Challenge. I think LaLa Ri, Jessica Wilde, and Jimbo were the clear top 3, while Alexis Michelle, Kahanna Montrese, and Kandy Muse were the clear bottom 3. Based off the performances and the runways, I decided to keep LaLa as the winner. For the bottoms, I decided to save Alexis Michelle, putting Kahanna Montrese and Kandy Muse in the bottom. While Alexis Michelle was boring, I think she was still better than Kandy Muse. And in terms of Kahanna, as much as I love her, I couldn't justify keeping her as low and letting her continue another week when she was underperforming compared to the rest of the cast. LaLa Ri wins the lip sync against Georges to About Damn Time by Lizzo and sends home Kahanna Montrese. I did not really have high expectations for Kahanna going into this season, but every single episode she completely blew me away with how much of a glow up she had, both in her skill and her confidence, and I think she's another queen who could definitely win the Fame Games. Please keep in mind this is being recorded before the Fame Games have taken place. Next up, we have the Episode 8 Design Challenge. I decided to keep the judging exactly the same here. I think Alexis was the clear winner. Jimbo is a close second, but her look was slightly unfinished in the face, in my opinion. Alexis Michelle and Nikki Doll lip synced These Boots Are Made for Walkin' by Nancy Sinatra. Alexis wins, which leads us into the main deviation from the original season. I believe that in the timeline where Kandy has 1 win and 1 bottom, and LaLa Ri has 1 win, going into this episode, I think Alexis would choose to eliminate Kandy, although I am not 100% sure on that decision. I don't really know what I expected out of Kandy for this season. She had highs and lows, but personally, I think she could have waited a bit longer before coming back to All Stars. Next up, we have episode 9, which is The Roast. Jimbo wins, putting Alexis Michelle, Jessica Wilde, and LaLa Ri in the bottom. As funny as LaLa Ri can be, I just don't see her being able to out-roast Jimbo in this timeline. Jimbo and Silky Nutmeg Ganache lip-sync to Freakazoid by Midnight Star. Jimbo shockingly wins, And while I think her decision would be down to Alexis and LaLa, I think she would ultimately send home Alexis. I really enjoyed Alexis's massive glow up this season. She didn't do that badly on season 9, but I think her runways have improved so far from where they were before. I think Alexis really leaned into being dramatic this season, and while that was sometimes annoying, overall it was really enjoyable to watch. That said, we have arrived at our final 3 of Team Jessica, Team Jimbo, and Team LaLa. While this fan vote would be very close, I think Jimbo would ultimately win it. Which brings us into the track record table. I don't typically judge based off track record, but it is important to know that in this timeline, Jimbo has by far the strongest track record of the 3. I, personally, will not be cutting anyone at top 3. Jessica, Jimbo, and LaLa will all move on to the final lip sync of the season. While this season sometimes felt like a means to an end, I think both me and the producers only envision Jimbo as the winner. As great as Jessica and LaLa are, Jimbo is the winner of All Stars 8 in my mind. I was probably the most excited to see what Jessica would bring to the table this season, and I was not disappointed at all. She was an absolute joy to watch, and I was so crushed when she got cut at top 3. While LaLa Ri was not my favorite queen from season 13, I was still really excited to see what she would bring to the table for All Stars 8, and she did not disappoint. I was so happy to see how much she'd glowed up, and while she did only place 5th, it was still a massive improvement from season 13. I am so satisfied with how Jimbo did on this season. Her Rusical performance was not the strongest, but of her 3 runs, I think this one is easily the best. While the season did, in an All-Stars 5-way, feel like a means to an end to crown Jimbo, I'm still really glad that it happened and that we all got to witness it, because based off her performances on Canada Season 1 and UK vs. the World, she absolutely deserves recognition. While I really enjoyed this season, that is about all I have to say about it. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. I will be making my way through every season of All Stars and the regular franchise throughout the next few months. And on that note, hey, it's Redacted. Do you want non-Emmy nominated gay shit? Well then subscribe to Drag Race Rejudged.